making good progress. Him and a couple other guys, Marius, Tanner Hudson is going to be in that boat for a couple days as well. So there's a couple guys that we'll just keep managing through the week.
Is it the same hamstring that he injured at the end of last season?
No. Oh, at the end of last season, there was two last year.
Yes.
I can't speak to which one was which. Yeah.
Zach, in some ways, is a game of this magnitude early in the season refreshing because you guys get a chance to refocus right away for a game like this?
To us, it's just week 2. It's the next opponent, and we're excited to turn the page and move forward. And I think it's a tremendous opportunity for us to go on the road and prove ourselves. And so, again, got the taste out of our mouth. We're done with that. And now we get a chance to move forward. I thought we had a good walkthrough so far, so good start to the week. And now just about bringing energy to the table and getting excited about what we've got in store for these guys, and I expect that to happen.
Is there a certain feel or vibe to it when it's this team that you've played so many good battles with the last few years?
Well, there's a lot of knowledge on both sides of it, for us and them, just because we feel like you play them about as much as we played a divisional opponent, not always twice a year, but for a couple of years there was twice a year. So you feel kind of on that level of just because we played them as much as we played any team in the league outside the division.
As a play caller, what's the biggest challenge going up against Spagnuolo?
Well, they've got great coaches, and they have great personnel. And so, again, they do a good job playing to their strengths. So it's always been a challenging defense for us to go against. It's a lot of fun putting in the work to try to create the best plan and then getting out there and trying to maximize that plan. And sometimes it goes well and sometimes it doesn't. They're obviously a really talented defense. Starts with Chris Jones, and then they got a lot of tremendous players around him as well that all play the role, all understand the defense. Spags does an excellent job mixing it up, and obviously they've been in a lot of big moments, and they've played well in those big moments. And so, again, we're excited for the opportunity to go against them.
It feels like every year that defense gets younger and it gets better. How have you seen that defense evolve during this stretch?
They've always been really good. It's a lot of similar faces that you're used to seeing, and then they add some new guys and they groom them, and they've done a good job with that whole unit over there.
The way they move Chris Jones around, how does that stress maybe the pass protection?
I mean, he can be all 4 spots, and so again, you've got to be ready in certain moments. We've seen that over the years. We've seen it on tape certain years. There's been some games. I remember last year where he's moving around. He's almost at all 4 spots in the first 15 plays of the game, and so. Again, we've got experience going against him. A tremendous player. He's got our respect. He's got our awareness, and he can wreck a game if you're not paying attention to him. And again, he's up there as arguably top defensive player in the league.
What's the biggest difference between him and Aaron Donald when you were game planning?
I mean, there are similarities in terms of they understand calls. They understand what's coming at them, how to attack that. And relentless. It's when they turn it on, they're very consistent in terms of the energy and the relentlessness that you're going to get from them. And they want to wreck the game, and they know that they have that capability to do it. They have tremendous endurance. They play a lot of snaps, and so again, you're challenged when you play both those guys.
Is there any sense of urgency or any kind of, I guess that's probably the best word to put it, about avoiding an 0-2 start going this week? Has that been any heightened as y'all approach?
No, it's just the next game for us and putting our best foot forward.
How's Chris Jenkins doing post-surgery?
Getting better. Again, we'll kind of have to feel that one out throughout the week to see where he's at.
What kind of dynamic does having Drew and Eric on the field give you guys on offense?
I think we've got a good collection of tight ends overall. I would limit it to just that. Everyone's got their strengths, and they do a good job playing to those strengths. And so, again, there's a lot of ways you can utilize and mix and match. And, it's presenting different challenges to a defense, gives us a lot of opportunities as well. So there's some flexibility there that we can continue to explore as the season continues.
How much of the tight end stuff and playing so many of those guys in different ways was about, making up for not having T and leaning into them a little bit more as an answer there, or is that something that you hope to be the way you guys operate all year long?
I think there's a part, it's really, you look back at the last game, we got really 48 plays, and the first and second down snaps, there's not a ton of them. So it's a very small sample size into what we can be as we continue to move forward. I do think that they give us a lot of flexibility. I do think when you're down a receiver, it allows you to continue to explore that flexibility. But at the same time, we've got receivers and 11 personnel that we trust as well. to be able to win for us and give us some advantages there. So I'm excited about the work we put in so far this week and seeing how we can utilize everybody on our offense.
You talked a lot about New England being able to dictate to you early in that game, and it was pretty tough the way the offense was executing or not executing to recover from that. How important is it for you, and what can you do to help Joe and the offense get in?
Yeah, the 3 and outs are what set us back. You know, you felt really good about the rhythm you got after that, and so oftentimes just getting that first down. You know, sometimes that's that one you just got to get, so you can just take a deep breath and start moving down the field and be in a little bit more of attack mode. And so again, when we didn't do that to start the game, that was frustrating, and there was a lot of reasons why. And so again, that's just a part that we'll continue to focus on and get that first down and then get the ball rolling.
I think them not having Snead is going to affect that matchup with Chase.
They do a good job. I mean, they've kind of drafted similar profiles of DBs, and they're physical. They're going to put their hands on you. You know, McDuffie will play outside and inside. He's a physical player, tremendously talented, does a great job getting the ball out. So again, they've done a good job kind of drafting the profile of what they want so they can play the style that they want. And their safeties play to that mix as well. Linebackers are very well. So they're very in sync with how they want to play the back seven as a unit. It's always been challenging.
Zach, the last 3 years, there's been a lot of focus on Joe Burrow's performance in week 1, but we see him grow immensely from that point on. We've seen it in years past. What is it about Joe that he can really change and grow and adapt so quickly to become the quarterback that we all know?
I think that's just your team. You know, it's week 1 is the only game you've played, so that's all there is to talk about. And for us, we know the big picture, and we know not to respond positively or negatively over the top one way or another after one game because we know what we're capable of. And so I think I know that this team's going to continue to grow. I've seen it every single year. Week 1 is not the end of what we're going to look like, and so I'm excited to continue to put our best foot forward in Kansas City.
You know, Mahomes has played a lot of different styles. What stood out about the style he played during the Super Bowl run last season?
He's one of the greatest to ever do it. So it's just putting a label on his style. You know, he's just a very aware player. He's always in the moment. He's got a lot of strengths, not a lot of weaknesses, and so he makes it tremendously challenging because of his physical ability, his mental ability, you know, ability to make plays with his feet, know when to do it, and a lot of the same things I'd say about Joe. You know, they're very similar in terms of how they can attack. The game. So there's a lot of that. And between series and halftime, he and I speak quite a bit. He'll ask for my thoughts. I'll give him my thoughts. You know, and so I think we've over the 5 years plus one game, we've done a good job figuring out how we communicate with one another.
If T can't go, is it realistic to think Jermaine Burton could see more snaps, or is he still not where you need him to be?
No, I think Jermaine has made progress and done things he needs to do to continue to grow, like any rookie. I mean, you look at Chuck and Andre last year, and it took them a while to find their role, and it's not an easy system. We try to put people in opportunities where they can continue to grow and have confidence, but outside of picking a receiver with the 5th overall pick and the 33rd overall pick, it's not easy to walk in here and immediately be able to play to your full potential. And so I think he's going through a process just like all of our other rookies we've drafted have gone through, and are continuing to grow and gain confidence and earn our confidence, and those opportunities will continue to come.
When Ryan Rico really gets one, is it unlike any punter you've been around?
It's pretty good. You know, I think you'll have to check it, but I think Sam Cook probably had one in 2005 at Nebraska that I remember flipping the field from about the -10 to, I think, inside. It was probably around 80. So I've been fortunate to be around some really good ones before that can get a hold of it. And Ryan Plackemeier was my college roommate my freshman year at Wake. He got drafted by Seattle, played with Sam Cook. You know, so I've been around some big legs before, so I've been very spoiled by that. Johnny Hecker. Keep naming all the punters I've been around, I guess. But, yeah, some good ones.
You knew that battle was ongoing.
Yeah. I mean, there's nothing set in stone yet. I'm proud of the way he handled it. He did a great job flipping the field. One game doesn't make a career, you know, so he's got to continue to earn it and prove that consistency. Because I think Brad was having a really good camp, you know, before he got injured. So I have no problem, you know, patting Ryan on the back and saying great job. That was good to see and exciting for him in his first NFL game. But at the same time, there's a consistency there that you got to prove in this league, and you got to do it time and time again.
Was the Sam Cook punt against Wake by chance? 76 starter?
I mean, I played Wake in my second game. Could have been. I don't think it was against Maine. I don't think I remember anything about the Maine game. So it was either Wake or Pitt the next week, playing Darrell Rivas, throwing for 70 yards, wondering why. And I realized they had a pretty good corner.
Did you know he was that good back then?
No, I didn't. I hardly even knew what my name was my third game at Nebraska, so much less who I was going against.
In your past matchups with Andy, how many times can you recall seeing something that either you weren't expecting or hadn't seen before?
In what their offense?
Yes.
I mean, they're creative. You know, they're as creative as it gets, and there's a confidence that comes with that when you've achieved the things that they've achieved with the Super Bowls and the championships and won big games. It gives you the confidence to do some things that are very aggressive and forward thinking. You know, and so I always applaud them for that because Andy's done it for a really long time. I mean, he coached with my father-in-law back in Green Bay a long time ago. Been doing it at a high level. He's got a ton of experience, knows how to play to his players' strengths, and isn't afraid to take risks, you know. And so I think you can see his players believe in that, and it shows up on the tape, and it showed up in big moments.
Got to see on tape their rookie receiver, Xavier Worthy, for the first time in real NFL action last week, scored a couple touchdowns. What does he add to that offense?
He's a great receiver. We enjoyed studying him at Texas. I went to the pro day. He's tremendously fast, but he's very aware. He's a good football player. He's not just a fast guy that plays football. He's a fast guy that's a really good football player. And so there's a toughness to him. He's got really good hands, and he's got great awareness, you know. And so, again, when he can get those soft zones and be able to run free, it creates challenges for you.
When he ran 4.21, did you think the Chiefs will try to draft him?
I mean, you knew somebody was going to take him that we're going to have to see. So that's just the way it goes.
There have been these rivalries in the NFL, right? You go back to the Niners and Cowboys, and there was the Peyton Tom Brady. To be in this, what's it like to be part of Bengals and Chiefs now going 6 times here in like 3 years?
It's always a good matchup. It always just come down to the fourth quarter. Some good, some bad. You get the best out of everybody. And I just think when there's so much talent on the field and tremendous atmosphere, it brings out the best in our crew, and that's what you enjoy. You like guys that play well in big moments, but you know, we can't take for granted just because of how we played them in the past. We're going to walk out there Sunday if we don't do the things we got to do this week. And so I think that's a challenge for our players and coaches to remain focused and put in the work so that we feel as confident as we should when we walk on the field on Sunday.
Has your philosophy changed at all in how to, you know, coaches talk all the time about you got to play Kansas City differently, you got to play Patrick a little differently. As you've gone through all of these matchups now with them, has it changed from what it was when you were first in 21, going all the way down the field and going for a fourth down?
You know, I think it's too soon to speak on how we're going to play them. They always give you something to think about. There's plenty of examples on tape of them in these moments and the good and the bad of how you can play it. Some in our games, some in other games, and so I think there's always a lot to talk about as you get into game week here and you get closer to Saturday and Sunday when you have those bigger conversations.
You have to be aggressive, right? I mean, isn't that kind of the common theme no matter what, or you have to be aggressive against them, or differently, even more so than other teams?
We've been aggressive. So I think that it speaks for itself. It's maybe that'll change. Maybe over the next 4 days we'll have a different philosophy for this one as we really evaluate the tape and where they're at right now. And but again, I think we've been in those moments and we've been pretty aggressive.
Evan made a 51-yarder this week, which at this point seems so routine from him.
Yeah.
How far does it have to be before you start to think, all right, that's on the border?
Game situation matters sometimes, the flow of the game. There's just a lot that you factor in. It's not just because he's got a big leg and you have confidence. And it's not, there will be moments maybe we turn down a big one and it's not because I don't have confidence. It's just because of the game flow or the situation or something we've determined beforehand. And so there are many factors that go into it. I've got a ton of trust in Evan. I've always said that, and I believe it with my gut that he's going to make whatever kick you put him out there for. Sometimes you just have to weigh a lot of things as you make a decision on that.
Playing Reed, Mahomes, Kansas City, what's the one stat that's going to determine?
Well, the turnovers is it's hard to turn the page on what just happened to us. When you lose 2-0 in the turnover battle, so that's critical when you're playing a really good team. You can't give yourself a disadvantage where you give them an extra possession, and so I think. Troy Walters does a great job presenting on our All About the Ball presentation today of what it takes and what we got to be better at, areas we can improve, and areas we've been good in the past. And so that's a big stat when you play in a big game like this.
What do you feel like Joe Burrow's at health-wise going into week 2?
I think he's good.
Do you feel, after you've looked at the tape, that your running game is ready to take that next step? And did it do some of that late in the game?
Yeah, I felt great in that third quarter when we got that opportunity. We gave ourselves that opportunity finally. And so you felt like you're in a good rhythm. And again, it was just too little too late. We've got to do a better job. Sometimes you got to do a better job in the pass game to give yourself more plays so you can start establishing the run. And so there's a mixture of things that go into that mix. You look at our game against Kansas City last year, I think we had 42 plays in the first half. And we had 48 plays the other day against New England. So it just kind of paints a picture when you feel like you really harp on, one or two plays that you're just sick to your stomach about. And when you have such a limited sample size, that's what happens. I've been in those games a billion times and know how to turn the page and know the next game can be completely different. You might get twice as many plays and a lot more opportunities to establish the run like you mentioned. Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Zach.